Firstly, I want to say that there is another Dragoon video I made some time ago. If you want to see that one and learn a bit about the Dragoon and its origins, I'd suggest watching that first, because I'm going to assume you've already saw that, since I may be referring to that video from time to time. As I will be talking about my time as a Dragoon from 50 to 60, I will be spoiling the story if you guys really care about that stuff, as I will be going in depth on how the Dragoon felt, his changes, and the role you take as the Azure Dragoon of Eorzea. So unless you're immune to spoilers, get ready to be spoiled. The Azure Dragoon is the symbol of Paragon in the Dragoon ranks. It is seen as a title and a position of honor, as the Azure Dragoon isn't just the leader of the Dragoons, but also the strongest and most loyal to the cause, that cause being the death of all dragons. Now, we all know what Dragoons were made to be: knights who excel at air combat, warriors to fight those who have the advantage in the sky. No matter the altitude of the battle, they strike their foes with spear in hand. Now let me elaborate on the Dragoon a bit, just a refresher for you Final Fantasy fanatics. The design of the Dragoon is mostly mysterious. No matter where I go on the internet, I simply just could not find the origins of his design. Why they were made to be knights who fight dragons, and even the name Dragon Knight, I could only find so much information on the origins of Final Fantasy's Dragoon, which by the way was the original name for the Dragoon before they were dubbed as such. I found out that the name Dragon Knight was used beforehand, but the shift to Dragoon was that of a mystery. It's almost like they came together to figure out a good name for the Dragon Knight, and someone blurted out Dragon, but then someone thought they said Dragoon, and thus here we are. It'd be a good story if it was true. Point is, their name is a real mystery on how it started, but what they are is not much of a mystery at all. Dungeons & Dragons do have a class known as Dragon Knight. They are a special kind of knight that has been around for eons in the world of D&D. They were highly religious with two sides for which one must choose. One must pick either the side of good, that being the worship of Bahamut the Platinum Dragon, or the side of evil, for which was Tiamat the Five-Headed Dragon. One must choose either or, worship them, and dragonkind altogether. A Dragon Knight also prayed like every day and had a close bond with their dragon. Oh, and here comes the good part. What makes a Dragon Knight a Dragon Knight was their dragons. Yes, their dragons. I can now fully justify my rage for which I had in the initial Dragoon video. What gives the Dragon Knight his abilities is his bond with his lifelong partner. Not that, you sicko. A Dragon Knight is given an egg with a dragon in it. When it hatches, they are bound to the dragon for life, mentally, physically, and emotionally. If by chance the dragon does not like its partner, they may leave, but the knight can make it up to the dragon, seeing how they can only have a bond with that specific dragon alone. The knight can call upon the dragon at any time if that does happen, and make it up to them if they wish for their bond to return. This is important because whether they are good or evil, the dragon was the one who truly dictated the relationship, and if they are not pleased, they can pack their side of the magic plus the knight's magic and leave. Just like that. And dragons usually have very thick skin in the world of D&D. Figuratively and literally. So getting a dragon mad is actually kind of hard, as long as there aren't any physical gesture of their displeasure, like burning down a village or eating your arm. This gives the knight many abilities that are shared with the dragon to make them powerful fighters. Magic, enhanced physical abilities, an incredible lifespan. It was even said that the first two were the most powerful dragon knights of all time. One was an elf on Tiamat's side, and the other was a dwarf on Bahamut's side. Their clash caused a catastrophic anomaly that was felt around the world, even destroying a few countries, so the practice was extremely dumbed down so that the world can stay in one piece. Now this is all ironic, really, as in 14 we have Bahamut as the evil dragon, and spoiler alert, Tiamat being the good dragon, and with one head. Bahamut being the primal that was brought back to life, and the former brood brother to Tiamat, who was trapped in a prison in Azure. Now, why the way things are currently were told to you by Tiamat, for which I will not get into for the purpose of allowing you guys to experience the story for yourselves, and it will also shut everyone up from telling me that Bahamut was the other great worm they were talking about before Heaven's Word. I knew he wasn't in the first place, and the game says so. So shut up. Now, to compare even more, the Dragon Knight could use any weapon they please, but was very formidable with a spear in hand. This gave them a jousting edge in the air when riding their dragon. The Dragoon used the spear as not just a weapon to kill, but also a tool to effectively hook onto the dragon like a whale harpoon. The spear was like a hook that dug into even the most durable of dragon scale armor. This allowed them to hang on even if they tried to escape into the air. The spear has become iconic in the years for the Dragoon, but the fact that it's a spear is not coincidence. They purposely made it into a spear for reasons before, and even had their armor black or dark because one of the usual colors in D&D for the Dragon Knight was either the same color as their dragon or a dark bleak color that could blend into the night. Now, one other thing that they also shared was their religion. Sort of. You see, in 14, the Dragoon swore with its spear to take down their mortal foe, the dragon. They fight and train to reach the dragon in the air and strike with the force of a bullet. Seriously, look at that shit! When being trained, a Dragoon must never let go of its spear. They must aim it at the vitals of their foe, and their jump must never miss. Talk about being accurate as fuck, but this is what even we, the Warriors of Light, had to go through. With such high mentality of their honor and pride for the spear and hate for the dragons, you could say it's like a religious view to see all dragons as evil, and anyone associated with them were dubbed heretics. In fact, I think it is a religious view in 14. Huh. Lest we forget, by the way, that in 11, the Dragoon goes through the same thing. They find a dragon egg, it hatches after a grueling battle, and you get to have your own baby dragon partner. This is also one of the reasons why I was sad to see the baby dragon not make it into 14. While it was a fun part of the job in 11, it was also a cool support pet. Depending on the situation, it could attack, buff, and even heal the Dragoon with its breath. Again, a missed opportunity, I guess. I actually wish for the baby dragon to return. I honestly think it would be interesting for 14's Dragoon to have one, but I know some of you will disagree and I'm completely fine with that. It's not a needed necessity. Lastly, we can look at the conviction the Dragon Knights had, which were very similar to the Dragoons, wanting to always strike out evil as a Knight of Bahamut, and vice versa with a Knight of Tiamat. They held a similar conviction to him, as they always seem wanting to strike down dragons. They are the elites of the Ishgardian army, and even the Twin Adders in Gridania respect them for their absurd skill with the spear, thus proving the similarities with the Dragon Knights from D&D to the Dragoons in Final Fantasy. Now, the story from level 50 to 60 is a bit short. You are contacted by your old mentor to become a teacher to a very talented Dragoon. Hestine becomes a sort of disciple to you, and she not only recognizes you as one of the strongest Dragoons she has ever witnessed, but also as the only other Azure Dragoon. Her story is that she was in line for being the Azure Dragoon, being a candidate alongside Estinine. However, the choice of Azure Dragoon went to Estinine, and Hestine without a moving conviction. She sees you as a sort of idol and hopes to be as strong as you one day, thus her choice for following you. It would seem that your techniques with the spear differs from those who fight only dragons in Ishgard. Thus, to temper her spear, she wishes to follow you as she watches you fight as an Azure Dragoon, adventurer, and a warrior of light. This journey actually becomes quite positive, as she starts to see why you were so powerful. Your moves were very different, and your conviction was more on the line of defeating an enemy that stood before you, but at the same time, supporting the allies that you must work with. This teaches her how to be a better leader, and even gives you, as the mentor, a close insight of her way of doing things. So while you were training her, you were also learning, gaining a better understanding of yourself to create new skills to support your battle style. Fun fact, Hestine was there in one of your initial Dragoon quests when you were learning to be one. She was one of your teachers that instructed you in the use of the spear, and even gave you credit for being a fast learner. Seeing the role reversed for me, I now teaching her, was kind of surreal. The story goes on as you fight by the side of the Dragoons. This is when you lose Hestine to her heroic display of chivalry. She is taken by the dragon while hanging on, and as such, taken by the heretics and was forced to drink dragon's blood. This made her not only desperate to find and kill the dragon she was after, but pushes her to resist the urge to drink more dragon's blood. In order to do so, she faked her death, and left the order. She had to find out who stole her spear and restore her honor for not only her forefathers, but for her own pride as a Dragoon. You encounter her trying hard to find clues into where her prey lied along with her spear. Your encounter seemed to move her forward as she tried hard to resist temptation. The effects of dragon's blood is quite addictive, but grants power to those who drank it. So it was a test of fortitude for Hestine as she struggles to use her power against her very tormentors, proving it to be a sort of hellish training of mind. You at last come face to face with the target, who at first I thought was a powerful person, but was instead a person-made dragon, not really too sure. Well, at this point I said fuck it, and in a show of fuck you dragon, Hestine and the warrior defeated the dragon and restored her honor. However, she would not return home until she could fully control her thirst for dragon's blood, using its power to destroy any heretic she comes across. This left a bit of a sour note for me, seeing how I, as the mentor, should have taken better care of her. With Hestine gone, you now had the full power to use your newfound technique, all revolving around the skill Blood of the Dragon, for which was also the main reason for Hestine's decision to leave. Though the skill is called Blood of the Dragon, it has nothing to do with blood of a dragon. It probably has something to do with mental stability, but I can't see it being more than just a power for more moves, though the skills do look kind of cool. Although the fact that word I can't pronounce has no TP calls for using it, it kind of makes the Dragoon a little bit more strategic. The moves Fang and Claw plus Wheeling Thrust are used to increase the timer for Blood of the Dragon. This allows the use of name I can't pronounce to be used without worry. The total time that can be accumulated is 30 seconds, effectively replacing TP with time on its part. This alters the strategy of the Dragoon by only a little. The difference here is the extra move you use at the end of your chaotic thrust combo and your full thrust combo, both of which take around 7 to 8 seconds to execute. This changes how fast you should be using your combo, seeing how heavy thrust takes 24 seconds after level 40 to time out, and in those 24 seconds, you'll need to use both combos and be able to hit with the name that shall not be pronounced at a comfortable time. Though it may seem strange at first, this addition to the Dragoon plus Battle Litany for support can make for some big damage if used correctly. Not saying it'll be by much, and seeing how I'm not 100% sure which proc will activate Fang and Claw or Wheeling Thrust respectively, but it does give the Dragoon some interesting ways of play. Now as I'm praising it, I did find it a bit lacking. The moves themselves, Fang and Claw and Wheeling Thrust, are not very powerful unless you're in a certain spot on the opponent. This goes into monk rules, and we all know how annoying that can be. I was hoping for them to make not only jump stronger, but also Dragonfire dive stronger, thinking it was a missed opportunity when they ignored it in its Blood of the Dragon effects. I also thought that perhaps the Dragoon could use an extra dot skill, or perhaps I'm asking too much. I never really thought the new moves were bad, just a bit situational, because if not for the extra time and some more damage, what else could it be used for? It's extra damage, yes, but it's also just another attack with a good amount of power. I'm not going to knock it outright, but I hope that further skills in the future will improve on this when given the chance, and perhaps give it a higher importance on the skill ladder. Again, I know they hit for a bit and give time for Blood of the Dragon, but before level 60, what good is it really if I can just continue my usual combos without even using them? I don't necessarily need them to do damage, but if I did, I would like it to have more purpose as a new skill. Again, like a dot or an actual buff that makes using Dragonfire Dive an essential at the very least. Because other than time for Blood of the Dragon, I would usually just forget about them. Just saying. And plenty of you could probably justify their existence, and I'm sure you could give good reasons as to why we should use them. But if the penultimate reason for the skill to exist is to give time for an even more useful skill, and that skill is locked away at a higher level, then the use of the skill has efficiently just become less important to me in the long run. The skills you were so excited to use, the abilities you were hoping would help as you grew to level 60, the fun you had thinking that the moves had a higher purpose, only to find that the moves were there for you to get used to when you unlocked the level 60 skill, pretty much disillusioning my faith in the Dragoon's upgrade. And realized my disappointment was in the skills, not in the Dragoon. The job is still my favorite DPS in 14, and I do think that the skill at level 60 is very useful. But before 60, the skills seem underwhelming, especially after realizing what it was for. Extra attacks are cool, sharing upped crit rate is cool, but the reality of it all, not very cool. Though I will say that it does look awesome and overall it adds to the Dragoon, so I can't say it was a total downer. It's just an opinion that resulted from me going through all this trouble for a class I admire. But of course, I want to ask you guys if you see the skills in another light. Do you think the Dragoon from 50 to 60 was eventful, or perhaps you may have another opinion to it? I would love to know, and perhaps many others would too. So thanks guys for watching, and of course if you would like to see other videos I've done, go ahead and click on those annotations. And if you want to be updated on my content, subscribe and I will happily welcome you to the channel with more videos. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and enjoy.